Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at weather. It's 10 to 14 days for today's second video. Day 10 will take us to the 8th of January, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. Maybe I'll try in a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. Gets us well into the last stages of January. I'll get time back for you in a moment. Just to say, but first, video today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast. We're going to be live at 6 PM this evening, so we're going to be looking at 12 then, and we'll be doing ensembles watch at 6 PM. Going to be very interesting live stream. That probably going to be the last live stream of the year, I would have thought, though we might do Snow Watch live later on in the week. Not sure about that, but anyway, we're live at 6 PM, so I shall see you all a little bit later on for that one. I'm going to start off with the Arctic oscillation observed and forecast chart. So the black line shows where we've been with the Arctic oscillation. The red line's at the end where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. Now, remember, the Arctic oscillation is an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state, doesn't drive anything in its own terms, just tells us what the atmosphere is doing. When the AO is positive, we've got low pressure up over the pole, and that keeps the cold air generally bottled up within the polar region, within the Arctic. However, when the AO goes negative, we've got high pressure blocking over the Arctic and over the pole, and that pushes then cold air out of the pole and down into mid-latitudes. Well, check this out. At the moment, the Arctic oscillation is weakly positive, but it looks like it's going to be going strongly negative as we go through the first week or so. But January really dropping off a cliff there, actually, by the end of the first week of January. So a strong blocking signal as we go from the first week into the second week. But January telling us that there is going to be appreciable levels of northern blocking developing. At the same time, the NAO is on the move as well. This is also an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state, not driving anything in its own terms, just tells us what the atmosphere is doing at the moment. And since middle of December, actually, the NAO has been in a positive phase. That tells us that we've strengthened the westerly flow and got high pressure, quite strong around the Azores, and low pressure up towards Iceland. So, sorry everyone, well, at the moment the NAO is also weakly positive. It's going to be heading towards neutral for the new year, and then going negative as we go through the first week or so of January there. So, again, we've got both of the indexes going into negative territory. The AO and the NAO are both dropping down into a negative scenario. And so this is possibly quite a strong signal for the weather to be turning colder through the first half of January, with both of those indexes in a negative phase. Central temperature is currently sitting at 6.8, that is 2.3 degrees above 61 to 1990 average, provisional to yesterday to the 28th of December there. Oh, that's probably going to come in around there, I would have thought. Maybe it'll tick up to 6.9, but I think it'll probably just be under 7 degrees when everything is said and done. We'll see. We'll know on New Year's Day how that's come out. Well, these were GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. We're at Birmingham today. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Birmingham. And we're starting off above average with the upper air temperatures at the moment. That carries on up to the new year, but then the upper air temperatures go negatively. It looks like we could be in for quite a prolonged cold spell there. Around a week, maybe 10 days of below average temperatures that we see in Birmingham. So, quite an extended cold spell. Precipitation-wise, a lot of dry weather up to the new year. Bit of a deluge over the new year. And then precipitation spikes coming through after that as well. And both precipitation spikes could bring a mix of rain, sleet also. I just want to explain that is the midnight GFS suite. If you have a look at the 6Z though, upper air temperature ensemble suite, you can see that it's not quite as clear cut for cold with the 6Z ensemble. So certainly we get a cold period down here just after the new year, but then there's a lot more scatter within the 6Z ensemble suite compared to the midnight ensemble suite We have still got several, ensemble members down here, cluster of ensemble members that are cold, but some that are going milder, including the 6Z operational run. So, with the very latest, up to the time when I recorded the video, 6Z Suite, and 6Z operational run, the GFS had a bit of a wobble. You're going to see that in a moment. Just wanted to explain that before we get to the chart data, so that no one is too shocked. Well, precipitation-wise with 6Z Suite, very similar, deluge over the new year, and then after that, looking quite unsettled as we go through the first week of January as well. Temperature anomalies from the 29th of December to 6th of January are below average, and precipitation anomalies from the 29th of December 6th of January wetter than average in central northern regions, driving average though down in the south. The latest wind blow map from earth-nullschool.net shows that the high pressure we've been sat under since Christmas is slipping southwards, and we're introducing more of a westerly flow today, and that is helping to clear away the fog, break up the cloud, and bring some brighter skies where it's been very gloomy, misty and foggy over the past few days. Northern Scotland, though, paying the price of that with outbreaks of rain. Right, let's start going through the chart database. So this is how the latest UK Met Euro run is looking for midnight on New Year's Day. One area of low pressure moving away to the east, another low waiting in the winds in the Atlantic. We're bringing down a colder northerly wind into the northern half of the country. That low pressure then pushes through during New Year's Day out into the North Sea by midnight on Thursday, 2nd of January, switching the wind back around to a cold northerly. And then into the first weekend of January, high pressures out to the west, and another front comes southwards from Saturday to Sunday. Could bring a band of snow with it, and introducing even colder air from a true Arctic source there, with a nice mid-Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland. So the UK Met looking very cold when it gets to the end of its run, and that gets us to midnight next Sunday, the 5th of January. Icon, again, taking that low pressure from New Year's Eve out to our east of below, waiting in the winds. That zips through the country on New Year's Day, bringing heavy rain, gale force winds, and maybe some snow for northern areas as well. Once that's out of the way, then we're into a drier, colder situation with a blocking area of high pressure trying to get going up towards Greenland and bring down a cold northerly wind. That's as far as we get to with Icon. Looking pretty cold. There's an area of low pressure threatening to come into that cold air, possibly bringing some rain or snow. But Icon is cold up to midday next Sunday. This is what the KMA has to say about all of this. So there's that New Year's Day storm. We're going to bring some very strong winds down the south, heavy rain too, and possibly snow to northern England, Northern Ireland, and southern Scotland. That gets out of the way. We're left with a run of northerly winds for the end of the week. And then the high pressure is pushing back northwards again, reintroducing very cold air from the north during next weekend. And then we stay into very cold conditions up to the 8th of January before low pressure has to go. Moving that out of the way, could be all sorts of fun and games with that. That's the 10th of January, still generally looking cold, and probably a big snow event going on then across England and Wales. But KMA still rock solid for very cold weather through the first 10 days of January, wintry weather too. GFS midnight run with that low pressure waiting in the wings for New Year's Day. That zips across the country, clears out the way by midnight Thursday. Wind in from the north, cold to end next week at about ridge of high pressure. Then the high building up over Greenland and Iceland becoming a real blocking feature next weekend as well, with this area of low pressure starting to push northwards into that. So that's bringing a very substantial snow event potentially by around Tuesday the 7th of January. Low pressure coming up from the south into that cold air, and a big blocking area of high pressure around Greenland as well. So all sorts of possibilities with that. Very long way off, of course, day 9 and 10, but looking very wintry. And then beyond that, well, the midnight GFS run kept that blocking area of high pressure going and started pulling the winds in from the east, would you believe? So that looks a little bit like a beastly easterly, I have to say, with those easterly winds there. It's not really because the upper air temperatures aren't that that's severe. They are cold, don't get me wrong, but if you look at the upper air temperatures, you know, they're cold, very cold potentially. The south a little bit less cold with that area of low pressure to the south. Again, probably all sorts of fun and games with snow and rain divide and whatnot going on as well. But overall, the GFS midnight run kept things very cold up to the middle of January there. Well, what about GFS 6 then? We know we're going to have a wobble with this, so let's see how that happens. Again, on New Year's Day, low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, bringing heavy rain, gale force winds, etc. That gets out of the way to Denmark by Thursday, the 2nd of January. Then high pressure reaches through the country, bringing dry but cold weather. At the end of the week. Into the weekend, low pressure tries to come up from the south. Could be a snow event next weekend with that for parts of England and Wales. It has got a blocking area of high pressure around Greenland and Iceland as well, but it makes more of that low pressure. So that's the difference between the midnight and the 6Z GFS, making more of that low, pushing it further northwards, which means England and Wales start pulling up some milder air or less cold air from the south. Snow event for the northern half of the country by the 6th of January. Still quite cold by the 7th of January, and high pressure still blocking up towards Greenland and Iceland, trying to fend off this low down to the south. But eventually, and this is the real difference in the more extended range, but GFS 6Z does turn things milder, wetter and windier with these areas of low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic. Actually very cyclonic and very wet with those areas of low pressure there. So, well, you know, it might just be a wobble. It's one GFS run. We'll see what 12Z has to say, of course, and we'll be live with 12Z a little bit later on. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe. Make sure you share everyone for doing that. Why not drop a comment? Let's know what you think about this and all of our videos and content. And don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. Get them to subscribe too. Thanks so much everyone for doing that. We need to put on around 50 subscribers, 50. That's all to get ourselves to 19.3k. So if you could give us a sub, that'd be absolutely awesome. Thank you so much everyone for doing that. Right, GM looks like this. Southwesterly winds, mild area and south, colder though up in the north. That low pressure band pushes away to the east, winds switching around into a northerly, so becoming colder at the end of the week. Then into next weekend, we've got high pressure through the Atlantic up to Greenland, pulling down a very cold northerly wind, and well, it just stays really cold then through days 8, 9, 10. Big blocking area of high pressure around Iceland and Greenland, low pressure over Germany, winds coming in from a really cold north or northeasterly direction. That's day 10 with the GM, you know, very blocked, big area of high pressure around Greenland and Iceland, winds in from the east. There's no quick way out of that. So up to the 8th of January, day 10, the GM looking very cold and wintry, and there will be snow potential. And then finally, for the chart data, the ECM, it looks like this. So on New Year's Day, low pressure is out to the west of the UK and Ireland, to the east of the UK and Ireland by Thursday, and we're bringing down a cold northerly wind. Then we have a blocking area of high pressure in the Atlantic and going up towards Greenland over the course of next weekend, 4th, 5th of January, looking cold with winds remaining in from a north or northeasterly direction. And that cold weather then continues right way up to day 10. That's a setup at day 10. Maybe not quite as epic as some of the chart data on this video today, but nevertheless, it's still blocked. High pressure between Iceland and Greenland, and bring in that wind from an east or northeasterly direction. We can actually extend out beyond day 10 with the extended ECM weather outlook. And again, that's a day 10 chart. High pressure in Scotland and Iceland, bring the wind in from a northeasterly direction. And the high pressure slips southwards and then it pushes back northwards again. So as we go into the second week of January, if anything, the cold spell is intensifying here with more of a northeasterly flow, and quite a long fetch northeasterly or easterly wind at that, and that will be bringing snow showers at the very least in from the east. So up to the 13th of January, the ECM keeps it cold, very cold, keeps it cold or very cold and wintry. So basically everything is looking cold and wintry other than the GFS 6Z, which has wobbled. Right, let's quickly have a look at the precipitation forecast based on the ECM run from 2SGeo.com. So got plenty of rain piling into Scotland and into Northern Ireland as well. over the next couple of days. Some of that will turn to snow across the far north of Scotland as well. There's the New Year's Day episode. Heavy rain, gale force winds to the south, snow for Northern Ireland, Northern England, and southern Scotland as well. All of that gets out of the way by the 2nd of January, and we're into those cold northerly winds then. And then it's a case of, snow showers into the north, around the coast. 1 or 2 might pop up inland as well. That's how we end up at day 10 with snow showers around the Irish Sea coast into Northern Ireland, also for northern east of Scotland, and maybe some snow showers gathering off the southeastern coast as well. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10 from the Icelandic Met Office. Gets us to the 8th of January. 20 members of the ECM ensembles with a blocking area of high pressure around Greenland and Iceland, low pressure in the Atlantic, but has this ridge down towards France. So that's a complicating factor, and that will try and get wind into the southwest. We've got 19 between the control and the operational room with high pressure between Scotland and Iceland. So that's straightforwardly cold at day 10 with winds in from the northeast. And then we've got 12 with high pressure in the Atlantic and going up towards Greenland with low pressure to our south and east. That's cold and wintry winds in from the northeast. So if we put the 12 here together with the 19 there, we've actually got a majority option within the ECM ensembles for a cold scenario at day 10. But we can't discount the 20 here, but are probably going a similar direction to the GFS 6Z. We'll have to wait and see about that. And then in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. Gets us to the 13th of January. 20 members of the ECM ensembles with a lot of high pressure through the Atlantic into Northern Europe. Mostly dry, could be quite cold with that. 19 with blocking high pressure around Greenland and Iceland. Low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. Now that could be trying to bring some milder air into the south, but it's probably still quite cold overall, courtesy of the blocking, I would have thought. And then 12 with a mid-Atlantic ridge up to Greenland. Low pressure to our south and east, and winds coming in from a cold northeasterly direction. Those 12 are straightforwardly keeping it cold all the way to 2 weeks out. That includes the control and the operational run there. So I think the majority option is to still be cold at day 10, and then a range of options by day 14, as you would expect, I guess, in this kind of pattern. CFS V2 finally is a 500 millibar high times, break it down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 29th of December to the 4th of January. The next week with high pressure from the Atlantic up to Greenland, low pressure to our northeast. So gradually turning colder as we move from New Year's Day to the end of the week. And then week 2 looking cold. It's the 5th to the 11th of January. CFS wasn't showing this a few days ago. So high pressure in the Atlantic and going up to Greenland, low pressure to our south and east, winds coming in from a cold northeasterly direction. That looks cold and wintry. Week 3 will be the 12th to the 18th of January. Still looking cold and wintry. High pressure in the Atlantic to Greenland. Low pressure to our south and east. Winds still coming in from a cold northeasterly direction. And then finally, week 4 will be the 19th to the 25th of January with low pressure through the west of Europe. That could be turning milder then, but also quite unsettled. Note, though, it does have high pressure up towards the north of Scandinavia that might try and get the wind into the east. So it's a long way off anyway, 4 weeks away, and not really worth worrying about, I wouldn't have thought. So, lots to keep an eye on, lots going on, and we'll keep you posted. Right, we're done. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to everyone for doing that. Why not drop a comment? Let's say what you think about this and all of our videos and content. And don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. Get them to subscribe too. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. As I say, we only need to put on around 50 subscribers to get ourselves to 19.3k. So you could give us a sub. That'd be absolutely awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Right, so going to be an interesting live stream coming up at 6 p.m. Going to go through the trials there. Is that GFS 6Z start of a wobble, Or is it just a one-off and, you know, all the model runs will look fine this evening? Quite a big live stream to come, and quite a big 12Z, you know, set of data this evening, I think. And we'll do our Ensembles Watch as well, part of that live stream. Tomorrow, have a 10 to 14 dayer, and we'll have a 6M broadcast to begin. Also, I'll keep checking back to the channel for more. But for this one, that's all for now. And thanks for watching. See you later on.